This is a serious moment. Okay, I need to tell you something serious, so I'm gonna get closer to the camera. If a show has British accents and period costume, I'm basically there. AKA my mom's latest celebrity crush. Here's how I imagine the conversation went when the staff of the show asked Dustin Hoffman to do an accent, and I might ship it a lot. A lot. The next thing I watch— oh my god, I said that weird. Hello, beautiful people of the internet. How are you doing today? My name is Jackie and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope your day is going well. I am in a great mood today. The sun is shining, I have off from school, I'm wearing my Shakespeare shirt because it's the Bard's birthday and you know he is my guy. I'm also very excited to talk to you guys today. This is going to be episode number 5 of my What I've Watched Recently series, where I talk about television shows and movies that I have watched in the recent months. I am going to talk to you guys today about 8 things, I believe, if my notes are correct. I feel like whenever I make these videos, I always forget something that I watch and I have to add it in really quickly. A majority of the things that I watched in these past couple months were period dramas and/or crime shows. So if that's not your thing, I apologize, because that's basically everything I watched, with a few exceptions. But I'm so excited because I watched so many things that I really enjoyed, and the things that I didn't enjoy as much, I still have things to say about. The first thing that I watched was the only true crime show on this list, and that was Crime Scene: The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel on Netflix. This is a true crime documentary. It's a Netflix original, has a couple episodes, maybe like 4, 5, 6, I don't remember exactly how many, and it covers the disappearance and death of Elisa Lam at the Cecil Hotel. And the Cecil Hotel has a eventful, we can say, history because many crimes and murders have taken place at this hotel. So the documentary not only examines the Elisa Lam case, which gained a lot of attention on the internet, but also the other things that happened at the Cecil over the years. I thought this was an interesting documentary. I enjoyed how it sort of flashed back and forth to talk about the Elisa Lam case and also talk about other things that had happened at the Cecil. There were interviews with people who worked there, and the woman who manages the Cecil Hotel, or at least she did when Elisa Lam disappeared and during this documentary, she's a character. I'll just say that. Honestly, if you want to hear my opinion about Elisa Lam after watching this documentary, I honestly am 99% sure that her death was an unfortunate accident based on the information that was presented in the documentary. And I honestly think that it's time to just let this woman rest in peace. With this case, because it gained so much attention on the internet, there were people who were extremely invested in Elisa's story and wanted to find out what happened to her. However, I do believe some of the internet sleuths took this case too far and got too emotionally attached. The part of this documentary that resonated with me the most, and I'll be vague so it's not a spoiler. Can you even spoiler a true story? I don't know. There was this one man who internet sleuths believed had killed Elisa, and there really was no evidence that he had done such a thing, but people got it in their heads that he was the killer and began harassing him online. And it got to such an awful point that this man was depressed and attempted to die by suicide. Luckily, he is still with us, but I felt so bad for this guy who had nothing to do with Elisa's death, did not know Elisa, and basically his life was almost ended because people online got it in their heads that he was the killer. So to anyone out there in the true crime community, definitely remember that we don't always have all the information and that it's very important not to harass people online. I don't care who they are or what they did. You should never send anyone a death threat. Ultimately, the internet is an amazing thing sometimes, but it also can be a very negative place, and I think it's important to recognize that though we may be passionate about certain things, it's always important to treat other people with kindness, and no matter what, you should always be the bigger person and be respectful of others, because things that happen on the internet, it's not worth threatening somebody over. Next, I watched the adaptation of Behind Her Eyes on Netflix. This is a miniseries adaptation of the book Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinborough, which is a very hyped thriller book. And if you are a regular watcher of my channel, you might know that when I read Behind Her Eyes in preparation for the miniseries, I did not like the book at all. I gave it 2 stars. I will link the wrap-up where I talked about Behind Her Eyes in the description in case you didn't see that and want to hear my thoughts. I will say I think the miniseries had some of the same flaws that I saw in the novel, but it did remove a few, not all, but a few of the problematic aspects of the book. And I hardly ever say this, but I think I enjoyed the adaptation more than the original novel. Behind Her Eyes is the story of a single mother named Louise, and Louise meets a man named David at a bar one night. She's trying to put herself back out there in the dating scene again. They hit it off, but then Louise discovers that David is her new boss, and he's married. His wife is named Adele, and they seem like they are the perfect couple, but there might be more than meets the eye to David and Adele's relationship. I enjoyed this miniseries overall. I still had some issues with it, the same issues that I thought were present in the original novel, but I think all the actors did a pretty good job. I knew the ending, obviously, so I was able to pick up on some bits of foreshadowing, and I watched this with my mom, who did not read the novel, and she loved the miniseries. She did not see the ending coming, and she thought it was overall a fantastic show. When I explained to her my issues with the ending, she understood where I was coming from, though. I am not going to spoil the ending because this is a mystery, and who wants to know the ending of a mystery going in? I will just say I think the subtext of the ending can come across as homophobic or transphobic. I don't know if that was intentional because the author of the book, Sarah Pinborough, I know nothing about her as a person. I don't know if she holds offensive beliefs or if maybe she just didn't think about how the ending could be perceived, but it left a bad taste in my mouth personally, and I know some other people felt the same way. It was a shocking conclusion, but some of the subtext was a bit offensive and relied on some problematic tropes. Then I watched a show that I really liked, and it was on my dad's recommendation, so shout out to you, Dad. You picked out a good one for me. So I watched Miss Scarlet and the Duke, which is on Masterpiece PBS. I don't know if you can still get the episodes for free because the problem with Masterpiece is you really have to catch the show when it premieres because they don't have the episodes available free for very long, but you know, you can get them on Amazon Prime if you have the Masterpiece PBS subscription. You might be able to purchase them or watch it another way. This is a historical fiction show set in the later Victorian era in London. I believe it's 1882 because I think it's 6 years before the Jack the Ripper killings. And our main character, Eliza, always wanted to be a detective. However, in the Victorian era, women rarely work outside the home, let alone become detectives. Her father ran his own private detective agency, and when he dies suddenly, she decides that she is going to run the agency herself to keep her household afloat. She also has this relationship simmering with romantic tension with Inspector William Wellington of Scotland Yard, better known as the Duke to his colleagues because his name's Wellington, Duke of Wellington, you get it. He had been mentored by Eliza's father in his younger years and is now an inspector, and he and Eliza may have shared a kiss when they were teenagers, and though they constantly bicker, they might secretly have feelings for each other, and I might ship it a lot. A lot, a lot, a lot. I love couples who bicker. For you Much Ado fans, it's like the Beatrice Benedict thing. I love that in a ship. Give me all of the bickering with the little bit of romantic and sexual tension on the side. Just beautiful. Chef's kiss. I love it. Even though this show does deal with solving crimes, it's still cute, I think. It's not really heavy or dark. It really has a lot of lighthearted moments and hijinks, the two main characters constantly bickering. He's telling her, women aren't detectives, you're gonna get yourself hurt. And she's like, watch me. You can tell me no, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I only have one problem with the show, and this is a serious moment. Okay, I need to tell you something serious, so I'm gonna get closer to the camera. There are less than 50 William and Eliza fanfics in Archive of Our Own. I know, shocking. Okay, so here's what I need you to do. I need you first to watch Miss Scarlet and the Duke. I need you to become a William and Eliza shipper. You with me so far? Then I want you the person watching this, after you fall in love with the ship, go write fan fiction about them on AO3. Okay? I'm desperate. I'll take anything you want, okay? And then, once you've done that, I want you to send me the link so that I can read it and we can fangirl together. Okay, all right, so you do that. That's your homework assignment, and please report back to me with the results. I know you're probably like, Jackie, if you want a fan fiction so badly, you write it yourself. You used to write fan fiction. And yeah, okay, I know, I did. But I haven't written fan fiction in a couple years now because I've been trying to write a novel and that's going okay, but not as fast as I would like. So I'm a little bit behind on writing fan fiction. It's been a while. And honestly, I don't want to have to do the work of writing it myself. I want somebody else to write it and me to just be able to consume it and be happy. But, you know, if I get desperate enough, I might have to write it myself. The next thing I watched was the only movie I've watched these past couple months, and honestly, don't have much to say about it because I don't remember much about it. I watched The Little Things on HBO Max. Really wanted to go see this in the movie theater. We were hoping to go to the drive-in movie that they have set up due to the pandemic, but that didn't work out. So my mom and I watched this at home. This is set in 1960s, 1970s Los Angeles? I already forget. And it follows Denzel Washington, who is a cop returning to investigating in order to catch a serial killer that is preying on women in LA. And this movie was fine. It was just kind of unmemorable. Hence why I don't know what to say about it, because even though I watched it just a couple months ago, I don't remember much about it. There was no real twist, and I kind of felt like, oh, so that's it. It was not bad, but it wasn't that exciting or memorable. It was just overall okay. Next, I watched another Netflix adaptation of a thriller novel, The One, which is based off The One by John Marrs, a book I really liked, or at least it's based off it in theory. Because let me tell you, the only thing this series has in common with The One is the concept. The characters are different, the plot goes in an entirely different direction. So if you haven't read The One yet, don't worry about it. You can watch this show and still read the book afterwards and still have no idea what's going to happen in the book. They're two entirely separate entities. The One takes place in a futuristic London. It has the vibes of a Black Mirror episode, kind of. And in this futuristic London, this DNA testing service called The One promises its customers that if you send them your DNA, they will find the one person in the world who is your soulmate. And so naturally, this has really changed the world in so many ways, but The One may not be as perfect as it appears, and the founder of the company may be hiding a dark, murderous secret. Despite the fact that the show is entirely different from the book, which was a little disappointing, I actually really enjoyed the first 4 episodes or so, and I was interested to see where the show was going to go, because naturally, even though I read the book, I didn't know what was going to happen. It was basically an entirely different story. But then the last several episodes, it just took a turn that I wasn't as interested in. I did not enjoy those episodes as much. And what really bothered me is that I thought this was supposed to be a miniseries. However, the ending does not resolve a bunch of stuff, and it's clear to me that Netflix is hoping the show will get enough ratings for a season 2, and honestly, I just don't see myself watching a season 2. I don't think I enjoyed the show enough to justify that. I didn't connect with any of the characters, and I felt like it was kind of cheap to end in this manner. I will say, I thought the first 4 episodes were good. When I went on IMDb to see the ratings, so many people gave the show 1 star out of 10 just because it's different from the book. I still think it had some bright spots, but the ending was very lukewarm. The other thing about the ending is some of it makes no logical sense when you actually think about it. If you play out the scenario in your mind as it was set up, it would have never happened like how it happened in the show, and it just was really dumb because it didn't make any logical sense in any respect. Next, my mom and I have been watching a couple shows about Italy. We were really hoping that we would be able to take a European vacation in honor of my upcoming college graduation. Obviously, then a pandemic happened, so it's been postponed for an undeterminate period until things get a little better in the world and travel is actually safe and allowed. But because of that, and also because I've been taking a class on the Renaissance and Reformation, which talks a lot about Italian history, we watched a travel show about Italy and also a historical fiction drama that follows one of Italy's most notorious families. So first, we watched on CNN Stanley Tucci, Searching for Italy, and this is a travel show which follows the famous actor Stanley Tucci as he goes to various places in Italy, and it focuses primarily on Italian food with also a little bit of culture. There are 6 episodes, and hold on, I have to refresh my memory. The 6 episodes focus on Naples and the Amalfi Coast, Rome, Bologna, Milan, Florence and Tuscany, and Sicily. And I would recommend this show if you are interested in learning more about Italy, especially if you want to see a lot of discussion of Italian food and the different cuisines in the various areas. I mean, I love pizza and pasta as much as the next person, but there is a lot more to Italian cuisine than just that. My mom also took some notes because we are hoping to go to Milan, Venice, Lake Como, that region when we eventually go to Italy. So in the episode on Milan, she was taking notes, okay? She is ready for her vacation. Then the historical fiction show set in Italy that we watched was Medici. There are 3 seasons in total, and it's a completed show, so there's only 3 seasons. There's not going to be a 4th. And so far, we have watched the first 2. We watched season 1, which is subtitled Masters of Florence, and season 2, which is subtitled The Magnificent, and we really enjoyed both of them. Season 1 stars Robb Stark from Game of Thrones, aka Richard Madden, aka my mom's latest celebrity crush, as Cosimo de' Medici. His brother Lorenzo is played by the main guy from Miss Scarlet and the Duke, and their dad is, of all people, Dustin Hoffman. And their father is murdered, so they're trying to figure out what happened to their father while also maintaining their power on Florence and keeping their political enemies at bay. Season 2 then flashes forward in time to follow Robb Stark / Cosmo's grandson, Lorenzo the Magnificent, who is played by Daniel Sharman, who I think was on the show Teen Wolf. I never watched Teen Wolf, but I've seen the GIFs on Tumblr, okay? To go back to Dustin Hoffman for a second, My mom could not take Dustin Hoffman seriously in this show at all. Just such a weird casting choice. And what to me is so funny is that he makes absolutely no attempt to do an Italian accent or an accent of any kind. So you're watching the show and Giovanni de Medici sounds like he's from New Jersey. So we got Dustin Hoffman, who sounds American, his two sons, who are Scottish guys, doing an English accent, and they're supposed to be Italians. It's just totally inconsistent accent-wise, which is really funny to me. Here's how I imagine the conversation went when the staff of the show asked Dustin Hoffman to do an accent. Dustin, great work so far. We're really happy with it, but your character is supposed to be a Florentine, so we would like it if you could try to do an accent. If you can't do Italian, at least do English so you can sound like the actors who are supposed to be your sons. No. You don't understand. I'm Dustin Hoffman. I don't do accents. But we just think it would be much more consistent for the show if you could. No. Okay, I'm the most famous person on this show. And when I say I don't do accents, I mean I don't do accents. Italian, English, no. I have 2 Academy Awards, okay? Does anyone else on the show have an Academy Award, let alone 2? Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay, Mr. Hoffman, yeah, great job, keep it up, yeah. Overall, I have really enjoyed this show so far. My mom also really likes it, and she was worried that she wasn't gonna like season 2 as much because it didn't have Rob Stark eye candy, but we both have enjoyed both seasons of the show so far, and we are excited to watch season 3. We're probably going to start it tonight, and I actually think I liked season 2 more than I liked season 1 because I think that season 2 improved on some of the flaws from season 1. I don't know, do I need to give a spoiler warning for this? I'm trying to think. Can I explain what I mean without spoiling the show? Hold on, I need a second to think about what I'm gonna say. Okay, so I'm going to phrase it like this, and I can't go into specifics due to spoilers, but I'm just going to explain what I mean without giving away any of the plot. So like I said, season 1 focuses on Rob Stark / Cosimo and his brother, the Duke / Lorenzo, and then season 2 focuses on Rob Stark's grandson, who is also named Lorenzo. He's Lorenzo the Magnificent, and then Lorenzo's brother, Giuliano, who is played by that guy from Merlin, another show that I've never seen, but I've seen the GIFs on Tumblr. And I think an issue I had with season 1 was that season 1 really treats Rob Stark / Cosimo as the main character. And I think because of that, some of the other characters and some other storylines were neglected in favor of showcasing him more and making him the star of the show. Really, it's mostly about Cosimo and his wife, Contessina, who, let me just say, I love her. She's awesome. But I think because of that, they focused on some of the wrong things. For example, we get many flashback scenes to Cosimo's past that I didn't think were necessary and didn't really go anywhere. Contrasting, there's information about Lorenzo's past that we don't get to see. It's just repeatedly mentioned to the viewer, and then that ends up becoming extremely relevant towards the end of the season. I couldn't connect emotionally to what was happening because the show did not develop that backstory, and therefore, no matter how well they acted, I just couldn't care that much. Whereas in season 2, I think there is a better balance. We see a lot about Lorenzo and Giuliano, and I think because it gives all the characters a bit of a more even screen time and develops things more fully, there was more emotional resonance that I just didn't feel in season 1 due to how the writers chose to use their screen time. I also think the final episode of season 2, Mass, best episode of the series by far. The scenes in the cathedral, wow, those were really good, and I definitely felt it in my feels. So really excited for season 3. I hope it is also good. I would recommend that you watch the show if you like period dramas. It has some flaws, but I think in terms of quality, it's very on par with The Tudors, another show I really liked, which received a lot more critical and commercial success. But honestly, I think this show is just as good as The Tudors. If you liked that, definitely watch Medici on Netflix. Then, the final thing that I have watched recently was the A.B.C. murders. I watched this on Amazon Prime. It came out, I think, on the BBC or another British network a few years ago. It is an adaptation of the A.B.C. murders by Agatha Christie, which I read recently. However, it's a very strange adaptation. It is not as unfaithful as the one is as an adaptation, but it made very strange, creative choices that I did not fully understand. The show wasn't bad per se, but it was just kind of odd. The A.B.C. murders follows Agatha Christie's most famous detective, Hercule Poirot, as he is trying to solve the case of a serial killer who is going to kill somebody for every letter of the alphabet. So for A, he kills a woman whose first and last name starts with A, etc., etc. And I kind of feel like the writers of this adaptation should have just created their own original story, because thematically and tonally, this adaptation is completely different from the book. I will say, I had apprehensions about John Malkovich, of all people, as Poirot. I actually didn't think he was bad. However, the writers gave Poirot this tragic backstory that, as far as I'm aware, does not come from any of Agatha Christie's source material, and to me felt so inconsistent with Poirot's character. It came very out of left field. Also, the character that is played by Rupert Grint, in this adaptation is given a much larger role than he has in the book, and I think that's because the writers of the show wanted to have this conflict between the two of them, the old detective and the young detective, Poirot, who has really reached the peak of his fame and is not as well known anymore, and then Ron Weasley's character, whose name I'm forgetting, who really is eager and wants to make a name for himself as a detective, and none of this was in the source material. It also is so dark, lighting-wise, and thematically. This adaptation makes every single character, except for Poirot and maybe Ron Weasley, a terrible person, and it sort of had the vibes of a Victorian, we're gonna catch Jack the Ripper kind of show, because it's so dark, the lighting, it looks like a very dreary set, and it's just so thematically dark, which, even though Agatha Christie's books are murder mysteries, I don't feel like they have that same degree of darkness that was present in the show. One change they made that I did kind of like was this adaptation addresses themes of xenophobia, and I think that works because Hercule Poirot is a Belgian who immigrated to Great Britain, and Agatha Christie's works are occasionally racist. I mean, she was writing from the 1920s to around the 70s, so there is stuff in there that did not age well. So I can appreciate how they decided that they were going to introduce these themes and address xenophobia that would have been present during this time period and also in our current moment in history. But the other changes they made were just bizarre, which is why I feel like they should have written their own original story, because basically they turned the A.B.C. murders into something that it's not in order to hit the things that they wanted to hit, which I did not love. So guys, that is everything I have watched recently. It was a lot of crime shows and period dramas, but what can I say? I like murder mystery stories, and you know, if a show has British accents and period costume, I'm basically there. Let's just be honest. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more from me. I post new videos every single Wednesday. Let me know in the comments section, what shows have you watched recently and really enjoyed? Did you watch any of the shows or movies that I talked about in this video? And if so, what did you think of them? I would love to hear your thoughts. My social media links are down below if you want to follow me on Tumblr, Instagram, or be my friend on Goodreads. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you have a spectacular rest of your day. Bye, and I'll see you in the next video.